Don't worry, I'm not going to read all of this. I'd like to thank Jenny for the invitation to speak and for organising this inquiry. I would also like to acknowledge that I'm speaking on the land of the Gadigal people, and I respect their elders past and present and their living and ongoing culture. I would also quickly like to acknowledge John Kay. I was very saddened to hear that news, and I particularly appreciate his advocacy for public education. I'm here on behalf of Lucille McKenna and the Ashfield community. We'd like to acknowledge some of the activists in our community, namely Sharon Lara and Victor, Joe Alley, John Hyde, Chris Eleanor Rovers and Kerry Barlow, to demonstrate that this has been a collective effort in Ashfield. It's been a long campaign and we've always been opposed to this ridiculous project. Our LGA is perhaps the most affected of any in this corridor that's proposed for this project. But we've also been pragmatic in providing a voice for our community to try and ameliorate some of the impacts that this will have. We began with a public meeting back in December 2013 as part of the beginning of the public campaign. 400 people attended that meeting, and from that grew our strategies. As I said, opposition and pragmatism. This folder, which I'm going to donate to the inquiry, contains just some of our, it's all I could log in on the train, it contains just some of our response to this project. It contains our EIS, and it contains minutes of our council meetings and mayoral minutes that we've moved in opposition to the project. It contains expert advice and analysis as to why this project should not go ahead. I'll just demonstrate that by reading from one of our first mayoral minutes. The EIS provides detail on the tunnel route, but also we are opposing it because it shows heavy vehicle movements, dust, noise, traffic congestion that will be horrendous for our community during the 8-year-long period and thereafter. It was the Haberfield Conservation Area, an area of state significance, will be severely impacted with the loss of many Federation homes and the isolation of the western part of Haberfield because the Wattle Street interconnection will be 80 metres wide. Think of that. The disruption to Ashfield and Haberfield community will be enormous. It appears there are disproportional social, economic and environmental costs to the residents and businesses of Ashfield and Haberfield, and there's no acceptable mitigation. Some of the reasons we said that it should be refused. The project should be refused on the basis that the business case for the project has not been made and has not been made public for scrutiny, and because it does not make economic sense. It should be refused because the project is inconsistent with the project objectives and inconsistent with the strategic objectives of New South Wales Government in the absence of detailed proposals for public transport, pedestrian and cycling initiatives to encourage a modal shift to more sustainable travel. It should be refused because it has an adverse impact on heritage in our area. I think we are going to lose 53 properties from the conservation area, 11 of heritage significance and 29 of major contributory influence in that conservation area. This is already happening. Unfortunately, demolitions are beginning. And unfortunately, all of this expertise, all of this analysis was not listened to except in a lip service sort of way. So, for example, these places will be demolished, but the bricks will be kept if you want to build your own Federation home somewhere else, and so will the slate be stored. And people will be able to take their fireplace somewhere else if they want to, but they are still being demolished. The other thing, if we think about the social and health impacts, one of the things we're most concerned about are the exhaust stacks near Haberfield Public School, for example, and near the Ashfield Infants Home, both places of great social significance in our area, and some of them of heritage significance as well. People in those institutions are very worried about future enrolments, about how people will feel about putting their children and their infant children near emission stacks, which are going to be unfiltered, by the way. We're also very much worried about the effect on Aboriginal heritage in our council area, and one of our recommendations was that anything should be referred to our Aboriginal Consultative Committee. On a pragmatic basis, and I'll really finish quite quickly, there are still issues we want to fight, and I hope they are taken up in Parliament. We want to stop the attack on Ashfield Park because they're going to put huge signs in front of that. We want to also stop the loss of trees in one of our other parks. I'll leave that with you, that email. So these are actual pragmatic issues you can take up. And thank you. I had to speak very quickly.